Hey, I'm Eric Keach. I'm here with an awesome fit pro and a friend of mine who is living it up in sunny, actually sometimes rainy Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Matt Pack, and Matt is running Primal Fit Miami, and the dude is crushing it in a tiny space. He's about 1,400 square feet, he's turning over a good amount of revenue, tons of awesome clients. He's here today to talk about kind of how he did this, turned it into a monster, and we'll dive into some of the stuff that he's a specialist at, is some of the small group training things, and we're going to just pull out a lot of details and share Matt's story and help you guys out with everything. So Matt, thank you so much for being here and doing this. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. I'm excited. I love telling my story, and hopefully we can help some other fit pros out there.
Awesome, awesome. And it's an interesting story. And you've been in the industry for a little while now, right? Like 12, 13 years?
Yeah, I started in 19. Let's see, I started in 1998, 1998, 1999. I was in school at Marymount University in Arlington, Virginia, for exercise science, and long stories. Well, I'll tell you how it all happened. But basically, I started in a commercial gym, Gold's Gym. I worked for a company called Fitness Image Results, which was, where I, basically honed in on my craft. Kind of found what I wanted to do. A lot of passion, and I loved helping people. My mother was actually a teacher, so I think that's where it kind of came from. Very nurturing woman and teacher, and I really enjoyed kind of taking someone from deconditioned to stronger or better posture or better quality of life. That stuff just brings a tear to my eye, to be honest with you. I really enjoy changing people's lives. So it all started there. I was there for about 2 years, kind of just only doing one-on-ones. That's where everyone starts, and I think everyone should actually start, if you ask me. Kind of cleaning machines, doing consults, doing the free
Yep.
members that came in, giving them their free workouts throughout the gym. And then I was like, you know what? I felt like I was getting trapped. I was kind of hitting that ceiling, and I started my first company, Impact Total Fitness, in Washington D.C. And I started going there. At that time, there was a lot of subcontracting gyms around where you could pay the facility, $20 to $25 an hour.
Right.
So I was kind of traveling around this place called City Fitness in Washington D.C. I was in Georgetown, Definitions. Found this place called Fitness First in Bethesda, Maryland. Ultimately, I was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Training in law firms, training in different facilities around town, training outside at tracks. I mean, that's what we did. It was a hustle game, and you know how that is. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about it is, a lot of people don't make it. You set it up a pre-call that, what's the average amount of years trainers make it? 5 years, 6 years.
Yep.
And it's a hustle and it's hard work. And but I really enjoyed that time of just kind of grinding and figuring out what my training style was and learning from different experts in the field at that particular time. And we can get into that stuff because
Yeah.
I'm an avid reader and I like to have mentors around me.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of curious. I want to pause you there for a second. I want to step
Yeah.
back for this. You mentioned you were doing your training for the big box thing. You're doing that, and you hit a ceiling. Like, was there a specific moment where you're like, I've just had it, or like I just don't know what I can do? Was there something that said I'm done with this and going out on my own?
Yeah, it's funny because my mentor at that time, a guy named Kirk Trader, he's actually still, I think he actually left that company. He's actually with the Gold's Gym organization now. I haven't spoken to him in years, but he's kind of the guy that, taught me the basics of bodybuilding. At that time, it was a bodybuilding time around that time, and you learn, and machine based, obviously, in that gym setting I was in. So he kind of, with school, and then, I had that mentor help me a lot. But I remember I was doing well in there, and I was busy, and I was helping a lot of people. And then I think I had somebody give me an in-home client like 3 days a week, and I kind of got a taste of, oh wow, I can charge $80 an hour for this. Versus I think I was making 25 or something at Gold's Gym at that time for Fitness Image Results. And I think I just felt claustrophobic. I remember telling Kirk that day, I said, I got to go. I just felt closed in, and I wanted to. My dad's a business owner. I think that had something to do with it too. Like, I don't like to. I like the challenge of growth and starting my own thing. This is like the only field, I remember, I think I've gotten fired from 15 jobs, Eric. I'm not joking. Like throughout since I graduated high school, just
Yeah.
kind of like, man, they'd be like, Matt, we really like you, but
Yeah.
we've got to let you go.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was kind of like, you know what? I gotta be my own man. I don't really like working under people. I don't like being really told what to do and
Hmm.
challenge of, hey, if something's working, I'm responsible for that. And if it's not, there's only one person to
Yeah.
look at, and I
Right.
got to look at the mirror. So I like that challenge. And that was the time, I think there was that one day where I just felt like I was trapped, and
Hmm.
I had to go out on my own, and it was just a natural progression for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went out and you talked about, right, you're hustling all over the place, place to place, doing this, doing that.
On the train,
Um,
carrying my Swiss
yeah.
ball.
Oh yeah. And that's honestly, that's, a lot of people who are going to see this and watch, they're some of them are at that stage too, where
Yeah.
they're hustling. So I'm kind of curious at that point, and this might be something that could help some of those guys who maybe are in that situation, just running around like crazy, trying to figure things out. What were you doing at that point to find more clients? Were there certain things that were working well for you?
Yeah, well, and this is what I kind of tell all aspiring trainers when they ask me. I started my clientele, Gold's Gym Van Ness, Fitness Image Results. That's where I developed my base. I took those people with me. I think I took 8 people with me to
Hmm.
City Fitness down the street, which was literally 5 minute drive down the street, subcontracting facility. I was paying $25 in a session to train in there. Got a couple more referrals out of there, and then I found Fitness First in Bethesda, Maryland, which only charged me membership. And if I got my clients to sign up for a membership, I got a free month membership. So
Wow.
I remember going in there. I don't know what they were thinking with that deal, because I could charge whatever I wanted, and all they wanted was the membership. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right. So I brought like 10, 12 people with me, got 12 months free membership for myself, which was only like $29 a month.
Hmm.
So, and all they wanted was my clients' memberships, and I could charge whatever I want and build my clientele in there. So it's funny because I actually interviewed a friend of mine, Alan Stein, who is a great basketball coach. He's actually the strength coach for DeMatha High School in Washington D.C. He travels the world.
Oh, I know that school real well.
This dude is such a motivational speaker and
Yeah.
as a great strength and conditioning coach for basketball and travels the world. He was with me at that time, and we talk about it because it was a hustle in that place, because there was
Yeah.
like 15 trainers in there, and it was like dog eat dog world. It was hard
Yeah.
to get clients in there. So it was all about no referral after that, getting results, and having a good personality and a good energy about you, and having that hustle, being able to sell yourself properly. And
Yeah.
that's what I did when I got there. It was all about building my clientele at Fitness First and referrals and word of mouth.
And at that point, it was just one on one.
It was only one on one.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And what type of clientele were you focusing on? Getting just general fitness, fat loss?
Yeah, at that time it was general population, fat loss. I remember vividly in probably 2001, I really started studying. Perform Better was just kind of getting out there. I was in that magazine a lot, kind of figuring out who I was going to read, who I was going to study. I wanted more. I wasn't getting it in school, and Paul Check, came across Paul Check at that time. Juan Carlos Santana was big during that time too. Um, and then Mauro Di Pasquale for nutrition, Eric Serrano for nutrition. Berardi came a little bit later. But I remember, Paul Check I had this foundation of Paul, and Paul kind of gave me this tree of education that kind
Mm-hmm.
of broke off in these tree limbs of all these other people to study. And I really started using a lot of Paul Check stuff. Actually went to his level 1 cert in like 2001. And Juan Carlos Santana, I learned how to cables, learned the dumbbell video, the band video, the body weight video. I learned a lot from those guys. So it was mostly fat loss,
Mm-hmm.
general pop, and just getting people to get them in shape, get them move better. And it was that was the time back then.
All right. Now you talked about, it was like dog eat dog world, right? Where you're there hustling, trying
Yeah.
to do stuff. what was bringing you getting more of those clients? Because it was so cutthroat. Everybody was doing the same thing. And I know in a lot of those
Yeah,
places, guys will stab each other in the back sometimes to get like other people
absolutely.
walking in. So what were you doing to bring people in and kind of separating yourself from those other people?
Well, I got to credit Paul Check on this.
Yeah.
I kind of was the functional guy. And if I'm thinking back at that time, I was probably doing some really, I'm not mad at that time because I learned so much. It's part of who I am. It helped develop the coach that I am today. But I was doing different stuff, just trying to be different. A lot of Swiss ball stuff, wobble board stuff, one-legged stuff, unbalanced, environment type stuff. That was that kind of um, functional era. If you
Hmm.
remember those early 2000s, it was
Yeah.
kind of, and it kind of, people today are still there, but, I evolved. But I think it was that because bodybuilding was still pretty popular then too. Matter of fact, Paul Check wasn't really known to many people back then. And it was mostly bodybuilding, isolation, single joint movement type stuff in that day and time. So
Yeah.
I didn't want any parts of that anymore. So I totally was doing the exact opposite 180 of the rest of the gym pretty much.
Hmm.
So I was that guy that was, wow, what the heck's going on over here? And that's what I told, even the trainers when I was at the Gold's Gym Van Ness Fitness Image Results. I was like, you gotta make some noise. What's different about you? You gotta create some sort of a character almost, or just what's different. Why should I train with that person? And that's what I did. I really created that, just by doing stuff different. Exercise selection was different. I was clapping, motivational, very in tune, very, there was no drinking coffee or talking on the cell phone. I was into my client. I was just passionate and really paid attention, and that's what set me apart.
Yeah, and that's a really 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 important thing is right. There's millions of people that are millions of trainers training right general fitness and fat loss. If you know what you're doing just a little bit, anybody can get them results. But what are you
Yeah.
doing to separate yourself? And that's actually a really good point that you just mentioned there. And I think that's something that everybody should make sure they go back and listen to that again because you got to figure out a way to separate yourself, or you're just going to be one of the random people, and you're probably not going to make it.
Right. And I
Yeah.
don't think you have to be smart about it.
Hmm.
You don't have to, I know there's, a lot of people out there that, maybe put their client in jeopardy just to be different. And I don't
Right.
think you need to go that route. I was always smart. I wasn't going to, put my setting myself apart, versus getting my client results and keeping them safe.
Yeah.
But at that time, I thought I was the man. Look at what I'm doing. I'm cutting edge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Look at I'm working your core. So I kind of felt like I was cutting edge because at that time Paul was ahead of the game. Paul
Hmm.
Check was ahead of the ball game, in regards to the rest of the training field. Because like I said, the bodybuilding realm was kind of still there, and it still is today. But we've kind of everybody's evolved in the strongman training and CrossFit and
Hmm.
and powerlifting. And that was my niche back then, was kind of being the functional guy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so you're doing this. You're separated. You're standing out. You're obviously bringing in more and more clients. You're starting to do well.
Yeah.
How long were you, I guess, in this area continuing to do this for? How long was it?
I was killing it at that time, probably from 2001 to 2004. I was doing strictly one-on-one. I
Okay.
was doing probably about 44 to 48 hours a week,
All right.
um, doing well. I mean, I remember being tired, but loving it. Like I just loved being in the gym. I knew everybody. I had a lot of friends and the clients and all. I
Nice.
knew all the other clients, uh, um, people they were training too, and it was just like a really good environment, good energy. Although, like I said, there was still competition
Yeah.
amongst us, but we were friends. But from 5 a.m. till 8 at night, it's a grind. It was a hustle. You had like a 10, 10 to 12, 10 to 4, where you weren't doing anything. But from 5 a.m. to 10, you were straight through.
Hmm.
And then you start back up maybe at 4 and go right to 8 o'clock. And yeah, it was, and like I said, I was doing probably 115, $120,000 a year at that time. And I was doing well. I used to have 20, 30 checks in my pocket. This is, there was no EFT, there was
Yeah.
no like, hey, let's make this a real business. I was like driving to people's banks. I knew where everyone's bank was. I would go to the bank. I was all over the place, and
Doing
it
what you had
was
to do, though.
doing what you had to do, man.
Yeah.
And it was a great time. So and then my wife is actually from South Florida,
Okay.
and we were on vacation, actually at a wedding, and it was wintertime in Washington D.C. and it was brutal, right?
Hmm.
And my wife is like going through some seasonal depression. Long story short, I was like, let's just come to Miami. My wife's actually an attorney. We got back on that Monday and she had a call from a headhunter saying, hey, we have a job opportunity in Miami. So it was kind of the law of attraction, the way we
Yeah.
looked at it. Hey, this is what's supposed to happen. So I actually, after a month or two, 6 months or whatever, it panned out. That's what we were going to do. So I ended up selling my clientele to another trainer
Okay.
for $10,000, and it was a 6-figure business, but I couldn't do that. What am I going to do? This guy doesn't have that much money. I said, hey, give me $10,000, but pay me over 10 months. I want $1,000 a month over 10 months because I don't have any clients in Miami. I don't know what I'm
Right.
going to do. Give me some time to build my clientele. So we came to Miami, and I'm excited, man, because I was like, you know what? This is a challenge. I want to build a
Yeah.
clientele again. Let's see if I can do it again. I was doing 48 hours a week in DC. Let's see what I can do in Miami. So my goal was to
Okay.
do 30 hours a week in 6 months,
Okay. Now,
right?
what I want to do, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to
Okay.
backtrack. There's something that's really important. We just kind of glossed over it. 6 months it took you to basically kind of sell off your clientele, somebody
Yeah.
else. What was that like for you? Because you had built relationships with people. How
Yeah.
was that process? How kind of just give me a few pointers of details and kind of how that worked for you and how you handled all that.
Yeah, it was actually pretty tough because I do remember they had a going away party for me, and all my clients were there, and all of my friend trainers brought their clients, and I had a relationship with them too, and it was very emotional. But leading up to that going away party for me, it was the transition. Luckily, my clients knew the guy,
Okay, good.
and so they said hi to him. They had somewhat of a rapport with him already, and they knew his training style and they trusted
Okay,
him.
cool.
So I didn't just throw my clients to somebody I didn't trust. He got results. He was responsible. He was very professional. He was educated. So I felt like they were in good hands. And I felt like he had good retention with his clientele too, because I wanted my clients to be somewhere they could be, safe and could grow with another trainer for
Yeah,
the long haul. And it worked out well. It worked out really well. I think he's actually still with some of those clients, and I've been in Miami for 10 years.
okay, cool. All right, because I just wanted to know because some people, it's a very hard process. You become friends with them and how to do that.
Sure.
So, but you got them to somebody that you trusted and that they already knew, so that made it a lot easier, which is great. So let's jump back into that. So you were trying down in Miami. You want to set up a challenge, right? You want to see if you get 30 clients. Is that what you're
30,
saying?
yeah, 30 clients in 6 months. Yeah.
All right, so pick it up from there.
Yeah. So once again, subcontracting gyms are hard to come from. I'm not going to go to LA Fitness or Gold's Gym and start in that realm again because I'm just not. I'm beyond that, honestly. So there's a place called Paradise Gym. It's in South Miami. Big bodybuilding gym, subcontracting gym, but and they pay. I think they were charging like $500 a month, and they kind of give you like 250 for the first a month, and then you kind of incrementally go up as you build your clientele. So you like after 3 or 4 months, you're paying that top, $500 a month, I think it was, or something. So I started building some clientele in there while I was going to school at FIU because I transferred from Marymount University to FIU in exercise science. And
Okay.
I'm going to school and trying to build my clientele. Wasn't a lot going on in that gym, but the same owner, he owned a gym in downtown Miami where my wife worked, downtown athletic club. So I posted up there. My wife worked there in that area anyway, so I moved from Paradise Gym to downtown athletic club. It was just a better scene for me.
Yeah.
And I sat on the couch out front, started meeting people, started doing free body fat testing. That's where it all really started. I just forgot that actually. I set up a table in the front of the gym. I had before and after pictures from Washington D.C. So I created these billboard or these poster boards with my before and after pictures and testimonials on them.
Yep.
Hey, free body fat testing, free session, and I started the hustle and grind in downtown athletic club. And luckily, it wasn't. There was probably like 5 or 6 trainers, And I stayed there from 5 a.m. till 10, until the crowd left. And I just hustled and talked and gave away my time for free, stretched people after the workouts. Hey, how's your program working for you? Hey, I can give you a couple tips. It was literally just walking around, how it is, talking to people and asking them how I could help their results get better and giving them tips and giving away free time. And then slowly over that I swear to God, when I tell you this, it happened like it. 6 months. I was doing 30 hours a week. It was weird. It happened just like I planned it would. And I became kind of like that go-to guy in there because I was kind of, once again, it's a shame, and you know this because you're in the industry. A lot of people aren't keeping up with their continuing education.
Yeah.
I love continuing education. I remember I was going to a Poliquin seminar at that time, strongman training for athletes in Massachusetts while I was in Miami. I went to a conference in Canada. I was all over the place, still studying at home and going away, trying to learn from the best in the world. So I was coming in there with some innovative techniques and cutting edge stuff. Everyone else kind of stayed stagnant doing their bodybuilding ways, and I stood out. I stood out from the pack once again, just like I did in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
So, but you weren't doing. You were focusing a lot on the training methodologies and how to do stuff like that. So, and other than just talking to people and giving away free time, you really weren't doing anything to market yourself, right? It was kind of you doing that, getting results, and that's what was.
At that particular time, and even to this day, I'm still learning marketing and the business side. But at that time, it was straight hustle and trying to get results quickly. Good customer service, showing up on time, smiling, clapping, motivating, creating raving fans.
Yep.
It works today, worked back then.
And how long did you end up staying there and doing this?
I stayed there until 2006. The owner of the facility at the time recognized the trainers were making really good money. Well, actually, it was like one or two of us making really good money. I was back up making well over six figures again. And he didn't like it. And so he tried to make all the trainers employees. And I was like, well, I've been through this. I got to go.
Yeah.
So I took the majority of my clients to another gym up the street and outside. I was training at this field outside across the street from the downtown athletic club, and all over the place. Biscayne corridor, condos. Here we go again. Washington D.C. I've done it. I know how to do it.
Yep.
Started hitting up condos, in-house, outside. Specific gyms all over Miami Beach and downtown Miami. I was all over the place, just building clientele again and doing my thing. And from there, I had a garage. We have a 2-car garage in my house. And I started training like 3 or 4 people. Matter of fact, this morning I got a client in the gym, one of the first ones I had in my garage. He finally came to Primal Fit Miami. But I took half of my garage, started training 3 or 4 people in my garage and outside and in the alley. And then clientele started to build up. Told my wife Grace, I said, listen, can I get your side of the car? Can I get your side of the car, please? So she parks out front now, and so do I. And I built out the garage, which is about 400 square feet, and had the necessities in there. Started building my clientele in there. I had about 32, 34 people in my garage. Stopped doing in-homes, brought everybody into my garage, and made
it work.
Outgrew that. It was time to evolve. And
now, was this still one-on-one at this point?
Yeah. Well, all right. Let me back up a little bit. In 2005, I read a really good article by Alwyn Cosgrove about semi-private training. Yeah. And Alwyn's, I've always liked his writing, his writing style. Believed him. Saw that I was hitting that ceiling the same way I did with Gold's Gym Van Ness in Miami and Washington D.C. You can only work so many hours a day with one-on-ones, and there's no way you can fill another 6 a.m. Everybody wants 6 a.m. So at that time, I said, all right, let me start playing with this, and I started bringing semi-private. At that time, I was charging $80 per hour, and I said, okay, if I do semi-private doubles, I'll start charging $60 a head. So I'm like, all right, now I'm making $120 an hour. Mm-hmm. And then I got another girl, hey, you want to join Clarissa? As a matter of fact, it was Clarissa and this other girl. And I put 3 together, and I brought them down to 50 a head, right? So I'm making $150 an hour. right? All three. They were happy because like they're getting a deal. I was charging 80, and everyone
Yeah.
else in the gym is charging 70 or 80. They're charging
Yeah.
50,
And the
and they
light
still got
bulb's
the
going
same.
off for you on the money side. You're like, oh man, three people at a time, $150 an hour. Yeah.
Got it. So I started doing that a little bit more. That's where I started it at Downtown Athletic Club, and I probably had a couple hours throughout the day, but it was still primarily one-on-one.
Hmm.
When I transitioned to the garage, that's when I really started doing small groups. I started putting together two, three, four people. Actually, I think my first group I had four people at 40 a head, and I said, "All right, I'm not going any lower than this."
Yeah.
I started building that small group, and I was maxing it out around six people at 40 a head.
Hmm.
And I was doing that from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Right, and then I'd break off and start doing some one. Still had a semi-private double at 5 a.m. I believe, but 6 a.m. I started doing small groups, and then 10 a.m. I started training fighters and doing one-on-one. So my day was still long, but I was building that small group
Yeah.
frame of mind
Yeah.
and how to program it properly. And
Yeah.
now I've really locked it down in Primal Fit Miami. It's evolved.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you were at the garage, right, you started doing those small group trainings. Obviously, you start to run out of space, and right, you end up looking for your own place, right? So,
Exactly.
so I guess kind of just briefly, let's dive into that. You found your own place. Okay, it's about 1,400 square feet. Was that something where were you kind of nervous since you'd done all these other things, but you never had your own place? Were you a little bit nervous about
Yeah.
all that?
Yeah, it was a risk, simply because I didn't have any overhead in my garage. Um, but I like challenges. I really do. I'm not going in there with nothing. I had 34 people that I went into the Primal Fit Miami with to build on. So I'm like, all right, and the rent was $4,000 a month, I believe. And I'm like, all right, I got 30 some people. I'm making six figures or going into the place. I didn't start
Hmm.
with nothing, so that was a big plus for me. But the biggest thing for me was I grew really quick because in the garage, there's only a certain amount of people that want to train in South Florida, all right, with that heat outside and the mosquitoes and the dead possum in the bushes and the tar from somebody doing their
Yeah.
roof down the street. It takes a dedicated individual. So I felt like I was so far to the left where it was
Yeah.
strongman stuff. I had a group of women, 10 women. They used to come, we call them strong women training, and they were doing pushing trucks and flipping tires and sledgehammers. And, it was, you know, women over here were like, I'm not doing that. Right. So I felt like I needed to bring it back to the middle, right?
Yeah.
Where people wanted to come. They knew I was getting results, but it wasn't for them. So Primal Fit, and you'd be surprised how many people at Primal Fit were like, "Hey, let's go back to the alley. This is too clean. This is too foo-foo." So
Yeah.
even the women joke about it. But so I wanted to bring it back to the middle because I wasn't able to get as many people. I wasn't able to help as many people as I wanted to.
Mm.
So the big dilemma at Primal Fit Miami was literally I was overwhelmed because I was trying to run a business. I was doing a group, and then I'd have the phone ring, or somebody come in the front door and say, "Hey, can I get more information?" And I'm like, so this is the business side of things where I don't have any help. I had no trainers. I didn't have somebody answering the phone. I was doing it all. I was doing the contracts. I was doing the billing. I was doing the training. I was doing the program design. I was doing the consults. I was doing body fat. I was doing
Right.
before and after pictures. It was so stressful and overwhelming for me. And at this time too, I had no structure. So the 6 a.m. group, I didn't know who was coming. I had no idea who's showing up at 6 a.m. Five people show up. I'm writing a program on the fly,
Mm.
right? I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. I write a program on the fly, no problem. 7 a.m. comes, two people show up, four people show up. It's a totally different program. I'm writing programs for whoever shows up. So I'm doing this for a long time, and I'm keeping a track of all my programming. But I had a couple of trainers from South Florida come in. They were like, man, we want to see what you're doing. And they watched one day, and they were like, "Man, that's really good. Six fighters." I was training six fighters at the time, and they go, "Hey, how do you know what program? How do you write? How are you writing
Right.
programs? How did you know what you were going to do this hour?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just depends on who shows up. That's the program I write." And they were like, "Hold on a minute.
That's insane.
How many hours a day are you? How many groups do you see?" And I was like, "I see, about six groups a day." And there's a different program every hour. I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, that's stressful. And I didn't really know any better at the
Yeah.
time. So that's when I was like, wow, I gotta get some systems in place. So that was like the main thing with me. I didn't have systems in place. I didn't have any help. And that was just my lack of business sense. And
Yeah.
that's really helped me. I've really evolved since then.
Wow. That's pretty insane, writing programs like that. That's I mean,
Yeah.
just me thinking about that and having to do that stresses me out right now. Just thinking about that. That's
Yeah.
insane. So
But
you
you know
did
what?
that, right? How
Yeah.
you were doing that for a while, then you realize, all right, I need some systems now. Did you kind of just figure it out on your own, or did you go to anybody for help on this?
Yeah. Honestly, I had a friend on Miami Beach that only does one-on-ones, and like when one-on-one trainers come in the Primal Fit, they're like, oh, I don't know how you do it. This is overwhelming. This is crazy. But I remember telling him my dilemma, and he was kind of like, he's like, why don't you write like a Monday, Tuesday, and have it be the same workout, and then Wednesday, Thursday be the same workout. And I was always doing, because when I was getting really good results with semi-private and one-on-ones, even with the fighters, I train everybody like athletes. I like 3 days a week,
Yeah.
right? I like a Monday, Wednesday full body, and I like a Friday strongman. That's what I always used to do because people they like the strongman. It's more cardio intensive. It's like a challenge day Friday. So I took it there. I was like, this is the way I'm going to do it. Monday full body, Wednesday full body, Friday challenge, strongman emphasis. So I said, all right. So I started doing. I didn't want to bore people. I'm a strength and conditioning guy. 4 to 6 weeks periodized programming.
Yep. Yep.
People don't do that. I would bore the hell out of my clients. So
Hmm.
what I did was I do Monday, Tuesday, same workout, Wednesday, Thursday, same workout, and Friday always changed. But we keep the same programming for Monday and Wednesday for 2 weeks in a row. So people get better. They're able to, obviously see their weights go up a little
Right.
bit, get better at the movements if there's a learning curve on the movements. So that's what I did. So people going Monday and Wednesday, they get a different workout. People come Tuesday and Thursday, they get a different workout. And I'm able to even periodize it even more if I want to. I can go like more of a power day on
Right.
Monday, and
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday, I can go more a repeated effort day,
Gotcha.
Dave West Side type stuff. And then Friday was more of a challenge day, and it worked great. So that way, it really mixed things up. People were never hitting the same workout, and they had rest in between days.
Okay. Now, at what point did you finally end up bringing in or hiring somebody for help?
And that was the big challenge right there because I'd never done that before. I don't know. I've never trained another trainer. But essentially, what happened was the first guy that I had was actually a client, and I was like, wow. And I'd heard other people saying like, I don't remember if it was Thomas Plummer or Cosgrove or I don't remember who it was. It might have been Bedros or Chris McCombs, one of those guys. Like the best person you can hire is a raving fan, somebody that's already a member, right? And somebody that pretty much knows the system. They've already been through it. They've seen
Yeah.
results. They believe in it. They're coming every week. They pay you already, and that's how it all started. And it was an easy transition because now I have somebody that doesn't really have a philosophy, right?
Yeah.
They know mine, which is huge, but they have a good personality. And I always tell aspiring trainers or business owners never hire an education, hire a personality because you can teach somebody anatomy,
Yep.
you can teach somebody the program design, you can teach somebody regressions and progressions and customer service. So that's what I did with this particular person, and it helped me out big time because now it's two of us there. There's more accountability. There's more eyes, right? Which gave you higher value to the clientele. They're like, whoa, I got four eyes on me in here. I'm paying $40 a session, 320, 300, $480 per month. This is great service. CrossFit got 40 people doing barbell snatches, and there's not that much accountability. So we're really, honing in on that small group. It's totally different. It's not boot camp and it's not CrossFit. It's our own special niche. So, and then I was able to answer the phone. I was able to deal with
Yeah.
customers coming through the door. So it really took a big load off my back and made the service and the quality of it a lot better.
Did you start growing faster now because of this?
Big time. Yeah, definitely because now I'm a businessman. Now I've really I've slowly been pulling myself out, working on the business versus in it. I have I have three trainers now. I just hired a manager. I have a nutrition coordinator. I have also a chiropractor that we refer and get referrals from. I have a PT, I have an acupuncturist, and I even have a doctor of osteopath. So we have a team a team that we've kind of put together, like this holistic type of health center that I would kind of call it, where, if I don't know what's going on, when in doubt, refer out. I've got people, good quality people to refer out, and I get referrals from them too. So it's a really win-win.
Okay. Now, I actually want to shift gears a little bit. So I want to talk a little bit of the marketing side because up to this point, it's pretty much just been word of mouth, right? Which is for 99.8% of trainers, that's how they basically build their businesses over time, and even how they started, word of mouth. At what point during this process did you start to say, all right, maybe, I should look into spending some money on some marketing? Like, where were you in this process when that thought kind of occurred to you?
Well, the best thing I did, and I think the biggest mistake that trainers make is they don't get before pictures at the right when you meet somebody and
Okay.
tell them it's this is part of what we do. This is part of what you're signing up for, right? There's no not that people say, hey, I don't want to do that, and I'll say, I'm sorry, but this is part of what we do. This is how you if you want to work out here at Primal Fit, we need a before picture, right? And we do it in a professional way, obviously, and I'm nice about it, but it's important that we see the transformation. And I'm not gonna put it out in public, unless
Right.
they
Right.
give me permission to. So I think the testimonial process, which you're well aware of the power of testimonials, but the before and after, but the testimonial process, I've had them since 19. I think my first one was 1999. I still have them, right? And I've built up that. And on my website, I keep them and I have them in a book. So I feel like that was the biggest thing for me, having that social proof. And I was training a PR girl who's one of the best PR girls in Miami, in the garage actually, and she followed me to Primal Fit Miami. She started getting me on TV, so I
Hmm.
started really getting. I was on Channel 7 multiple times, Channel 6 multiple times, Deco Drive, Miami Beach Deco Drive. So I was really starting to get on TV a lot, in the newspaper a lot, because I was changing lives. I made a name for myself. I was credible. I was credible at that time. So the PR that I was getting was pretty good. A lot of newspaper articles. I keep them on the wall at Primal Fit Miami, and plaques and stuff like that. So the credibility that I was getting from the media and from my social proof, it was pretty easy. And I wasn't paying for it. I bartered for
Okay.
the PR girl Dana that I use. I bartered with her, which I recommend. I
Yeah.
recommend trainers as much as they can. If you can barter another service to help you grow, then do it. Um, and then I would say, spending money wise, there's a local egret, and there's and also the Chamber of Commerce in Miami Shores here.
Hmm.
I did get involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and in the Chamber of Commerce, they send out this egret. It's called the Miami Shores Egret. It goes out to Biscayne Park and Miami Shores, thousands of homes. I started putting the before and after picture and testimonial in there as well. Every month, there's a new one that goes in there, right? So it's just branding, to be honest. This stuff never happens like I thought it would. I remember being on TV for the first time. I'm like waiting by the phone. I'm like, come on, new people should be calling any minute. It doesn't work that way, but it's an accumulative effect.
Yeah.
I find that really works with the existing clientele versus brand new coming in from that.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And so it's something that you're at least at this point not afraid to spend some money on the marketing because I think that's a lot of stuff. Like people rely on the word of mouth, and which is great. That's helped to build the
Yeah,
business, but at the same time, you're not able to control that, right? If you can start spending money on some of the marketing, you can start testing and tracking. You can start and
right.
see, okay, if I spend X amount, I might be able to get one or two or three people, right? So I
Yeah,
think there's an issue there where some clients or trainers are afraid to spend some money on marketing,
yeah.
but you're not at this point. You're not afraid to do that, right?
No, no, and I think um, first you got to get results, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I do think that the word of mouth and referral from your existing core clientele is the biggest thing.
hmm
But direct mail marketing, I'm going to be doing that when I get into the bigger Primal Fit
yeah,
Miami. I feel like it's just time to start testing that.
yeah.
It needs to be done often. I'm finding now, just now, the accumulative effect of the consistency that I've been hitting the egret. every single month.
Yep.
Where sometimes I'll get, because we run a $99 trial, I do 8 sessions for $99, right? I want to earn people's business. Let me show you what, that was the biggest mistake is I'm different, no doubt about it, but people don't know what I do. They have no clue what I'm doing, right? So I got to expose these people somehow. So I started doing a $99 trial, right? Hey,
Yeah.
come test us out. 8 sessions. Give you a free assessment. $99. We'll give you 8 sessions to test drive our program. Allow us to earn your business, right? After the 8 sessions, we shake hands. If you don't want to come on board, hey, well, hopefully we served you good. You see the value of what we do,
Right.
and you can tell your friends about us anyways. But what that helped us big time, especially in the e-grip, because that's what we've been marketing for, is that $99 trial. And it's a good way to track. Like you said, where are you coming from? I came from the e-grip. Where are you coming from? I came from your client, Steve. My clients are, walking billboards,
Yeah.
and that's what I really rely on the most, but I'm not afraid to pay for some extra marketing.
Okay. Would you say that it's smart for other trainers to, if they, well, they should be able to afford it if they're doing some, but they should be spending some market money on marketing, correct?
For sure. But
Okay.
but not. Look, no one's going to come to you from putting flyers on your windshields.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure that's going to work anymore. Maybe in the old days.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that is evolved now. Direct mail, finding out the demographic or the household income of your area, which you
Yeah.
can do from the local post office, and sending a flyer directly to those houses.
Right. Right.
Absolutely, it doesn't cost much money to do.
Right. Okay. So now I want to kind of jump back on the timeline. I just was digressing a little bit on there because I was curious about the marketing side for you. But so now you're at 1,400 square feet. With that
Yeah.
1,400 square feet, I guess what kind of how many clients do you have at this point?
I have 125 members right now.
Okay. And what's the revenue around?
I'm doing about 32,000 a month.
Okay. All right. So you're at 14 and you got 1,400 square feet with 120 members. That's a pretty small space. So right, you're going to be moving into a bigger space now.
I'm going into 5,400.
5,400. Actually, and didn't you say wait early on with 14? You're paying four grand a month for 1,400 square feet, or like when you first started? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
sure. Yeah. My rent at the existing location is about 4,300 a month.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
you're in
going to be
Miami.
coming
Yeah.
up probably around 15,000.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because Miami, that's a little bit. Yeah, numbers are a little bit higher, but for
Yeah.
5,000, okay. So kind of, how long of a process has it been for you so far? You're not in this 5,000, this bigger space yet, right? Like, so how
Yeah.
long of a planning process has it been for you to even kind of get to where you are now, with the size of the space and everything to get in there?
Well, I'm going to hopefully start build out. So I've been going through the permitting process, the general contractor. I've already, the plans are complete. So
Okay.
now I'm just waiting on to get out of the city. And that can be the longest wait, obviously,
Right.
the permitting process, and that's a whole nother talk. But
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
the politics of it all, it takes. I remember when I first went into the 1,400 square foot, I was like, all right, I signed the lease September 15th. I'll be ready for January 1st, New Year's resolutions. And it was like April. It
Hmm.
never happens that way. They always say add another 6 months on whatever you think it really is. So um, I'm prepped up and ready to go as far as the nutrition coordinator, hired a manager, working with Thomas Plummer from the NSBA and Rick Mayo. So I've got a team in place, and I
Hmm.
got the systems that I'm using now has worked, but it's not going to work in the 5,400 square feet. So I'm preparing for the new systems. I'm gonna have to hire some new trainers. I'm gonna have to hire a front desk person. Gonna have to be some cleaning people, obviously.
Hmm.
So I'm preparing for this new step, which is a big one for me. But I
Yeah.
kind of feel like 400 square foot garage, 1,400 square foot facility. It's just it's an evolution and it's a growth. I almost went laterally, and I said that's just not me. I've got to grow, and it's one of those things that you got to get out of your comfort zone. And I tell that to my clients, and I tell that to aspiring trainers. Look, in order to make a power move, to really grow, you have to take risks. So this is just part of the building process.
Okay. Okay. And so what you've done though is you've maximized pretty much everything that you can do in this space in terms of just numbers, revenue, and results, right?
Very similar to what happened in the garage, Eric. I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest with you, like there was a group of people. I was so far over here. outdoor, strongman,
Yeah.
mosquitoes, dead possums. It was a limited amount of people that I was going to get in there, you know. I wanted to bring it back to the middle. Well, now I'm doing great in a small group, but I charge a premium rate for
Mm-hmm.
small personal training, right? Um, between 40, that $40 a head,
Yeah.
40, 45, depending on length of commitment. You're looking at $320 to $480 a month, depending on how many times a week you train. There's a group of people that want to come to Primal Fit Miami. They
Yeah.
can't afford 320.
Yeah.
So I don't have the room to cater to those people. So the whole point of going into this bigger facility is to have a layered pricing system, NFBA style, the training centric model,
Yeah.
the Thomas Plummer way. And I'm just ecstatic because I can help more people. The whole point of
Yeah.
being what we do is to change lives, as many lives as possible. And that's why I tell the one-on-one trainer, that's cool. If you want to stay there, that's totally fine. But you're going to hit a ceiling. But if you're cool with that, that's all right. But you're still only going to be able to help a minimal amount of people one-on-one level. So the small group allowed me, bam, I'm helping 120 people now versus 30, right? But now, once again, I want to help more. So I've got to develop that tier system underneath the small group training so other people can afford it. So we're going to move into that team training aspect,
Mm-hmm.
12 to 15 people. So now we got small group. We even have one-on-one up here. And then we got small group. And then we got team training. And then we're going to have even a gym entry.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to keep that at a premium as well. So it's going to be awesome.
That's
I'm just
cool.
really excited to finally expand out to people that weren't able to afford me in the past.
Very cool. Very cool. And I'm sure obviously moving to a bigger space, there's a lot of moving parts like you talked about, obviously town and city and getting all the permits and everything like
Yeah.
that. But you've moved along in the process. That's the next step in the phase of everything. So what I want to do is I kind of want to wrap up, want to maybe get a few other tips and pointers so that people that can help some other people. So I guess what I want to ask you is, I guess, what would be your biggest piece of advice for somebody who maybe is in a similar situation to you at this point? They're in a smaller space looking to expand. So what would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody like that?
Well, first of all, you got to be smart about it. If you don't have the clientele, it's like I've had another person that consulted with me, a friend of mine, a trainer, and does one-on-one. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm just going to get a place." Actually, I've had this happen twice. A really good friend of mine, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about leasing a space, right?" And I said, "That's cool, but where is it, first of all?" He was like, "Yeah, it's not. Is it near your clientele? Because if you already have an established clientele somewhere, and then you're going to go rent a space or lease a space where totally not in the same area as that where your existing clientele is, well, how many of those are going to come with you there, first of all? So if you don't have any clients to go in there, now you're looking at a stressful time. Now you're looking at that building clientele. You have an overhead, you have a lease.
Yeah.
Um, so I really want people to understand that you need to have a clientele already developed or a really good marketing plan to get going, because that's the biggest I think the biggest risk and the biggest challenge for most people is how you're going to develop the clientele to pay your overhead. So first of all, have the clients to go in, or a really good plan to build that clientele fast. Maybe you have a year free rent. Hey, if you got a year free rent and you negotiated that somehow, hey man, you might be able to just start from scratch in your new facility. That's totally fine. But most of the time, you're not going to get that type of lease. So, and taking that step, taking a risk, you're gonna have to go through that stress. The only way you're gonna make it is to take a risk and get outside your comfort zone, lose sleep. I remember going into the facility because I was when I was in the garage, I was Impact Total Fitness, right? Which is Matt Pack, Impact, make an impact.
Right.
But most people couldn't. They're like, "Yeah, what's your website, man? But I can't find it. Where is it?" And I was like, "How'd you spell it?" They're like, IMPACT. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to play off my last name. But so I was like, all right, if I'm going to move over here, it's a perfect time to change my name, right? It's a perfect time to transit, change everything if I need to. Like your friend, you said in the UK, hey, let's start from scratch. How are we going to do this, right? Perfect
Right.
time to make change. So I changed my name to Primal Fit Miami. At that time, big paleo guy. I've evolved from that now too. But it's kind of what I believe in, eating real food,
Mm-hmm.
less processed, if it has more than one ingredient, don't eat it, And I like the primal movement patterns. I kind of write programs off the primal movement pattern sequence. So that's why I went to Primal Fit Miami. So I think it gives you a time to make changes if you need to, but developing the contract, right? Getting incorporated, or if you're going to do an LLC, what are you going to do? How are you going to deal with the IRS, right? You're going to have to pay taxes now, business accounts. So all these things were important. I don't know anything about that. I'm in the garage, got 30 checks in my pocket. What am I doing here? Setting up an EFT system, setting up a credit card, setting up a system in place to house all your clients in the facility. How are you gonna organize everything? Filing cabinets, computers, all that sort of stuff. It's stressful. So know exactly what you're gonna go into, and I'm gonna write on it. I do want to put something together that can help people kind of transition from the garage or boot camp
Right.
or from the gym into their own facility, because it is scary. I really didn't have much. I didn't have a blueprint. And Eric, and you and I talk to trainers all the time. Hey, success leaves clues. Find people that are doing the best in the industry.
Yeah.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
I kind of reinvented it. I had Cosgrove to help me with the semi-private model, but I didn't really know much else.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got Plummer behind me now and Rick Mayo from the NFBA, but I'm proud to say that I kind of developed my own systems, and I've honed on them and smoothed them out a little bit since then. But you guys out there, it's gonna be tough, and that's why most people don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, what I got a few more questions for you. There's always I love these next few questions. I'm interested in the cool stuff. I'm kind of like a nerd when it comes to tools and resources and stuff. So I guess what's a tool or resource that you've used that's really been beneficial or helpful to you, I guess, along in the process or even right now?
Like from marketing, business side.
Whatever, something that's been a huge help for you that you think could help maybe somebody else, another trainer or somebody who's in a similar situation that you're in.
Let's see here. There's so many. I mean, there's so many guys. I would have to say it would have to be. Let me see here. From a program design standpoint, I've kind of created my own. Like I said, I always write programs from a primal movement standpoint: push, pull, lunge, squat, bend, rotate, crawl, climb. So I write and then hip dominant, quad dominant, vertical, horizontal,
Right.
push and pull. I've kind of created my own system, I think, for program design. I'm getting good results. There's nobody that I've like taken from or borrowed that much from. I've kind of created my own but from the structuring and the design of the systems that I have in place. It's probably going to have to be Thomas Plummer has really helped me, going forward. I'm proud to say I didn't really have anything. I can't throw one name out or one book or one manual. And I'm a guy, me, man. I continuing education, and I'm on T Nation, and I really, priority for nutrition. There's a lot of people that have made me who I am today. But there's not like one thing. I've kind of like engulfed myself in the small group. It's working, trial and error for me.
Is there a tool in terms of maybe like billing processing or something online or something like that?
I think EFT was huge for me. I
Okay.
mean, and you know what? Hiring a freaking manager.
Yeah.
I remember when I was, I guess it was Sean. Eric Ruth and Sean Greeley from Net Profit Explosion. I was working with those guys for a long time, and I was talking to a lot of those guys that were affiliated with them, and they were like, "You got to get an admin. You got to get an admin. Do you get an admin?" And I was like, "I don't know if I need one. I don't know if I need one." But now that I have a manager, I'm like, "Why didn't I have an admin or manager?"
Yep.
Because when you're doing it all by yourself, that's all I know. I don't know any other way to wear all the hats. And it's difficult, it's stressful. So I think my advice out there to anybody who's going to go into this: don't try not to do it by yourself. Have somebody there with you, like your wife, or hire somebody off of Craigslist. that can help you with the paperwork and greeting people at the door. So, man, I don't want to sound like that guy, Eric. I'm not that guy because I give credit where credit's due. There's been a slew of people, from Paul Check to Poliquin and
Right.
Toronto and John Berardi, and there's so many people that I have on my bookshelf and VHS tapes. VHS, I have a lot of VHS tapes that have helped me in my journey, man. But I think it's just been a culmination of a lot of trial and error, along with those people that kind of made me who I am.
All right. So it's been a really big evolution for you from where you were 13 years ago at the time we're talking now. Back in late 90s to where you've come now. To even expanding, going right 5,000 plus square feet to a new evolution of Primal Fit Miami for you. So a lot of interesting things, and I know there's probably gonna be some people who are curious to maybe learn a little bit more about you or what you have going on. So where can people learn more about you?
Well, you go to primalfitmiami.com. I'm working. I do have a couple products on there, but I am in the process of creating, kind of a package or a blueprint per se of what I've done, because I feel like I have created some, a cool system at Primal Fit Miami that works and it's repeatable. So I'm going to create that. I'm hoping I can help some other aspiring trainers kind of get out of that grind. I do feel like it helped form who I am, though.
Yeah, you
And
kind of have to go through it to be able to
yeah,
teach it. Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't do that. But you and I have talked about it before, like cleaning machines and
Yeah,
and doing the 2 free personal training sessions at the big box gym made me who I am. So I kind of don't feel I want people to experience that grind,
yeah,
because it'll either break you or you'll benefit from it and grow. And I fortunately grew and kind of it helped form Primal Fit Miami, what it is today. Lots of bumps in the road and failing and messing up,
yeah.
but helping a lot of people along the way. There's not another profession I'd rather be doing. That's for sure.
Very cool. Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the time to come on, share the whole story, kind of where you were to
Thanks,
where you
man.
are now. This is really interesting to be able to help a lot of people. And for guys who everybody's watching and listening to this, head over, check out Matt's site. It's Primal Fit Miami. If you want to, friend Matt on Facebook. And if you want, feel like sharing this video with people. If it's helped somebody or can help somebody else, go ahead, and share that on Facebook. Tag Matt in it. And I'm sure, Matt, if anybody has any questions, right, they can probably reach out to you and ask you about anything if they want to know more.
Appreciate that, man. Thanks for your time, Aaron.
Yeah, man, yeah. All right. Good luck with everything going on in the future, Matt, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother.